Episode 6 of the Pitstop Pals. Thanks for being here, everyone. Nielson and Gage are back with you once again after the Miami Grand Prix. And lots to discuss. I mean, at one point, my son was laying there watching with me about 30 laps in. He goes, "Daddy, this one's boring." I said, "Well, you're not understanding." He was waiting for a crash or something. I said, "Don't worry, Latifi will strike at some point," even though he didn't. But we've got lots to get into it. Gager, obviously, it's episode 6. If you have not yet subscribed, let's say you're watching on YouTube, which is where you can watch it exclusively, and you're not yet subscribed to the podcast, just search the Pitstop Pals on all your podcasting platforms. You can find us and give us a sub over there. Buddy, how was your Sunday viewing experience?
Very relaxing after the week we had. We just talked about that before, Dusty. Just set up in the office, had a couple of screens going, watching all the lap times.
A good setup.
It was, a nice cold beverage to watch. I can see why Marshall actually said that this one's boring, but because of what practice and what had happened throughout all the practice sessions and the crashes, I really thought we were going to see at least 2 or 3 safety cars during this race. So quite surprising that we only had one.
Yeah, why do you think that? Why do you think that was? Because you mentioned, I mean, practice and qualifying, there's some significant guys who were having some issues, and then you roll through the first 35 laps of that race, more than that, incident free. It was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, they talk about how, well, I'm surprised Max did as well as he did, to tell you the truth, because he didn't get a lot of lap times in. No. And they just thought, because it's a brand new track as well, right? There's just they don't have anything to reference themselves. I think this just goes to show you how great these drivers are to make just subtle adjustments to the racetrack. I mean, it was actually a fun racetrack to watch. I think this racetrack in a few years, or even probably as soon as next year, when we see the cars finally get all the stuff worked out with them, this is going to be a very enjoyable racetrack to watch some races, because just the straightaways, the tight turns, it had a lot, but you could see that a few of the cars just weren't in the right window for this race.
I liked when the cars, they did the wide shot, and they're coming underneath the overpass, and people are just driving over the overpass, and there's a freaking Formula One race going on beneath you. I was just like, that's pretty crazy. That was pretty bizarre. I mean, we got so many things to get to. We got to talk about the start, because Ferrari's in a really good start, 1-2, and then Verstappen right away slides in there. And at that point, you're like, okay, like this will be tough to handle today. But before we get to any of that, Martin Brundle on his walk before. Holy shit, man. Like, that was an all-timer. I mean, he had no idea what he was doing. It was, at first I was just like, my God, this is sad. And then I was like, keep going. This is entertaining. Like, I want to see, at one point, when he was trying to find Patrick Mahomes, who wasn't Patrick Mahomes, it was Banchero from the Duke Blue Devils, who's going to be, well, I'm watching it, and I said, Tammy was standing there, and she's in rough shape today, so she was hanging on. And I said, he thinks he's Patrick Mahomes. Like, he thinks he's talking to Patrick Mahomes right now. But the best part was, in order to get up to Banchero, he was like, let's see if we can find anybody else. And he walked right past Dwayne Wade, like almost bumped into Dwayne Wade. I was like, Dwayne Wade's right there. It was like, that was an all-timer, Gager. I couldn't believe it.
He was trending on Twitter because people were going, who is this guy and how does he not know anybody? So
nobody.
It was great. I mean, they talk about how the F1 is blowing up in the US and how they've wanted a race in Miami for so long, especially because they say it's close to everywhere. And I was like, close to everywhere. But for South America, for Europe, it's kind of like that one stop, right? That's where you go. So it's kind of a hub. And man, how about Hard Rock Stadium and that venue? Like, what a place to go for 3 days. 300,000 people attending. Even those boats, like seeing those guys hang out on the back of the boats, that looked like probably a fortune. But I could see myself hunkered down in that thing for 3 days.
That'd be great. when Brundle went up to Venus Williams and asked her one thing, and then she talked to him, and then he just awkwardly kept the mic in her face as they walked along, and then she was like, what was the question? And that was it. He was just like, oh, it was Man, that dude has no shame. Like, he does not care.
His walkthroughs are great, and he had to change his shirt, so he didn't. So he stood out a little bit. He's brilliant, man. He is. So great.
It was something, that's for sure. All right, Gage, so let's get to the start. I mean, you mentioned everybody. Carlos Sainz actually stays on the track, qualifies well. He's starting there number 2 with Charles Leclerc, and I mean, I was thinking, okay, like if Sainz can hold Verstappen back for a bit, Leclerc might be able to get out 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 seconds ahead. But Verstappen, he just wasn't having it. Like on that initial, I don't know if Sainz did much wrong there. Like Verstappen just was like, I'm getting around him, and that's the end of it. And at that point, I mean, he hadn't got by him. What took him like 8 or 9 laps to eventually track down Leclerc and pass him. But at that point, I think right away, I mean, if I could have live bet it, the moment Verstappen got by Sainz, I would have been all over Verstappen. That's not how you viewed it too?
Well, I think with Carlos a little bit is his luck and how it's been going over the past few races and not being able to finish a race. You could see in that first, he was like, Max gets his elbows out, right? Like he kind of bullied him off a little bit, I thought, and took the line, even though I thought Carlos could have been a little bit more aggressive, but there's a guy that went out on the first lap last race, right? Like he's thinking, I gotta finish this race. This is ridiculous. I can't be hitting someone. So I think Max took advantage. I think he really took advantage. But then you just saw the brilliance of Max Verstappen driving. Like he just took his time. He found out, like, because I was watching those lap times, and he was out of the DRS zone for quite a portion, and I thought, oh my gosh, is Charles gonna start pulling away here? But then he was on a reel and just he figured out where the best place to probably pass him was, did it, and then, I mean, he was 7 seconds ahead by the end of it. So unbelievable race by Max, just so relaxed, so comfortable. He did have a new power unit, I think, in that Red Bull. So there was probably he knew what he had underneath him a little bit, because they changed it. So he had a little bit more juice. You could see it on the straightaways. It was just, there was nothing Ferrari could do.
Well, that's the thing. I know, like, we're in a pretty tight race here right now. Just to give you a quick look at the constructor standings, Ferrari's at 157, Red Bull's right there at 151. Mercedes, despite not having a good year, is in a comfortable third at 95 points. And then you've got McLaren at 46, Alfa Romeo at 31, Alpine's at 28, AlphaTauri's at 16, Haas is at 15, Aston Martin, disappointing day there. They're at 5, and then Williams has a couple of points so far this season. But I mean, you look at what Verstappen and the straightaway speed of this Red Bull car. Like I know Ferrari, they have the lead right now, and Ferrari's going to be in the mix. There's going to be some wins. There's going to be some seconds. There's going to be 2 cars on the podium. But when it's all said and done, if they can't figure out how to match this Red Bull straightaway, like you're Charles Leclerc, you're dropping into DRS, and you still can't even close the gap on them. And that to me is a major concern for them.
Well, even the Ferrari is supposed to be better in the corners too, right? And even those tight sections, Max was matching them with that. So might have been Charles was pushing a little bit too far and maybe not as efficient as possible. But man, that's I think this track really set up well for the Red Bull car. We'll see what happens in Spain. I mean, it'll be really cool to go back to Spain because of all they mentioned. They've tested so much there, right? So it'll be a really familiar track for the drivers. And I mean, we'll probably, like, Ferrari hasn't brought any upgrades really yet, right? So they were waiting on this and seeing how it goes, but I'm sure we're going to see something happen to the Ferrari car that they have to if they want to match Red Bull or get close to them on those straightaways.
Gager, let's see the board here for the Miami Grand Prix. What do we got here? Look at this board. Oh, God, it's color-coded. My goodness.
Yeah, so look at this. That was me during the race. Well, the one thing, what did I have? Like, I had a couple kind of neat ones, like George Russell, right?
Yes.
Like, I'd like to talk about Mercedes for a bit, because I think, do they play it too safe with Lewis Hamilton? I mean, we saw what happened,
right? Like,
I don't get it, because even when the big kerfuffle of the last race last year, you saw Red Bull, okay, Max, just come in, we'll take a chance, we'll put on some soft tires, never know what happens. It just seems like other teams take chances. And you heard George Russell say, like where he was, he goes, let's just stay out and see if there's a safety car. Like he was willing to take that chance to lose a bunch of positions. And you saw what happened. Safety car, boom, he throws on some mediums and passes Lewis.
Yeah.
And takes another fifth. And he's finished top five
every race.
In every race. Like, but that's with taking the chance. And you heard the disgruntled Lewis, but I think if you're not in the best car, and it's not going, take a chance here or there. I just don't know about Mercedes' strategy with Lewis. Like they were even asking him, "Hey, Lewis, what should we do?" And he was like, "Guys, you tell me what to do. Yeah. I don't, like help me out here." So I don't know. There's some communication errors there, something. So they got to work something out or start taking a little bit more chances because it seems like it works for everyone else except for Lewis Hamilton.
Full blown conspiracy theory here, like. Are they trying to like grind his gears a little bit and transition to Russell being the guy? Like, do you think that's what's happening? Like, because if I'm Russell and you're in that spot and you're like, hey, let's ride this out. Let's see if because of where he started to where he was, it was already gravy, really, with what he was able to accomplish, right? So maybe you can take that little bit of a risk. I'm wondering from the Hamilton perspective, I mean, you started much better than you had started lately on the grid. You've been going along much better than you've been going lately. Like, I wonder part of it is just them being like, let's just get this guy some sort of results so there's something to build on and maybe not take a chance and blow it or something. Because, I mean, like overall, today was a pretty, and like last year, it would have been a horrible day for Mercedes, but this year, this was a really good day for Mercedes.
This is an unbelievable weekend for Mercedes, I think, just to where they were and how Russell was, I believe in QF2, he was fastest, right? And then to finish 12th in Q3 or not even go into Q3, like it just completely fall off the planet. So they were talking about what's going on with Mercedes. Like they don't have things figured out, but man, the way that they talk, they shouldn't even be in the conversation, but they're right there. So if they can get their stuff together here, man, and start competing, wow, this will be so great to have like Ferrari, Mercedes.
If you could have a 3-horse race, like,
oh gosh, that would be just battling between the two. Because I mean, even you look at Perez, like he's a phenomenal race car driver, right? And he was, I was kind of rooting for him a little bit to move up, but man, it was I hope they can get their stuff together for sure.
If they can get their stuff together, and it's might be wishful thinking with the way the season's gone and with the car that Lewis has for sure right now. But if you can get a couple of double podiums along the way, all of a sudden you're starting to push, because right now they're comfortably in third, and that's based off of a steady diet of fives here from Russell. But if they can get everything else going as well, man, they're going to be in a pretty decent spot. There's still certainly some potential there as well. Gager, what else you got on the board, buddy? What else is there?
I looked at the pit stop times of the Red Bull team. They are by far.
It almost looks like they're cheating, buddy. Like, I don't know how they get in and out so quick. Like,
it's a joke. Like 2.4, 2.7. Like, and then you saw Carlos at the pit time of 5.4.
That one hurt. Yeah,
that one hurt, man. Like, so I don't get it how Red Bull is so, and even Mercedes had a bad one with Russell, I believe too. I don't have the time. I didn't write down the time.
I think Leclerc had one that was like 3.2, and I was just like, hey, that's really good. And then Red Bull whips in, and it's like, boom, 2.4. I'm like, what? Yeah. How in the world do you cut a second off of that?
And when you look at the actual, break down the lap times, that makes such a big difference when they're going out there. So, I don't know. These pit teams got to work a little bit, but it was really cool this week with the tires too, to see the how the hards, because we're looking at a hot track, right, and how long it took to get them in their window, right. So you saw guys' lap times at the start. I was geeking out on the lap times at the start and seeing them, but then as soon as they got into 14, 15 laps, you could see their lap times just coming down and down and down. So,
big time, significantly.
Big time, significant time drops there. So. Pretty cool to see the kind of evolution of tires, but man, I really wish they could have got Lewis in and throw on some softs at when that safety car came out.
You texted me. You're like, do you think they could have snuck in there?
I didn't get it. Again, I just think Mercedes it doesn't. they got to take some chances here. If they don't, they're just going to stay where they are. I mean, that's fine, I guess, but I don't think that's good enough for Mercedes.
How do you view this weekend if you're Ferrari? Like 2-3, great, but you started 1-2, and the one guy you're battling is the guy who literally took it away from both of your drivers.
Yeah, to me, I look at it as a loss. You're leading, you have 1-2, and then this guy just blows past you. It's like having the lead in hockey and letting it go. I would feel this. It's kind of a blow to Ferrari, to tell you the truth, because they can't compete with the Red Bull on the straightaways. And I mean, even in the corners, they were a little bit, but I don't. It's a better car right now, so they got some work to do. I'm sure that I can't wait to see some of the upgrades that they'll bring the next race, because they got to do something. They got to do something here.
Nielson and Gage are with you. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. And if you're listening on the podcast and you haven't checked out YouTube yet, you can go over and slide that. Just search Nielson Media on YouTube on that front. Hey, how did Gasly not see Lando? Like, I know they said a little bit of a blind corner, but then you saw it from all the angles. And I don't know how he didn't see him there, man. Like, that seemed pretty basic, especially when you go wide and you're kind of working your way back in. You should be, I mean, I don't know how much they're shoulder checking, but you've got the mirror. Like, you should be able to see him there. That blew my mind.
He did say that he's having trouble steering, right? So right before that, but yeah, he went right into the middle and just clipped him. That was ridiculous. So that was tough, because he was in my pool too. That really hurt. But
I had Lando too. I switched to him today. I said yesterday I switched away from Carlos Sainz this week to Lando, and damn, that didn't work, buddy. I've been riding with Sainz the entire time, and that one hurt. That one hurt a little bit.
You know what? The other, speaking of just like Ferrari not feeling like this was a loss this weekend, although they went 2-3 on the podium. Bottas being ahead of both Mercedes and then going wide on that corner and losing.
He's kind of wide and lock it up a little bit. And
he locked up and that was it. So he almost made it back, but that's gotta hurt. He could have walked by in the paddock with head held high if that ever happened. But man, he's again another really consistent drive from him. I'd like to see, hopefully, he can get up into the top here, because it seems like it. I don't know, in practice and in qualifying, he's I think. Well, he had that record of ridiculous.
He's just a good driver, right? Like,
just a really good driver, good car. Man, I'd like to see them challenge too. So, and that's a Ferrari engine. So who knows with any of the upgrades, it might be able to cheat a little bit.
We're 6 episodes in. I'm not sure we've said this guy's name yet. 6 episodes in, but he has finished 7th, 6th, 7th, 14th, and then 8th today, and that's Esteban Ocon. And Gage, you're like, he's never up there pushing the top 5, but he's never outside of it. Like, he just cruises around in 7th, 8th, 9th. And part of me is like, I'd like to see this guy in a good car. Like, I'd like to see what he's capable of, because he's not in the best of cars, but he's finding himself like, McLaren was up there for a little bit. Mercedes been up there a little bit. He's always right there. He's kind of just outside of that group of the elites. And I just find it funny. This is a guy who's finished 4 top 8s this year, and we haven't even really mentioned him, and nobody ever really talks about him.
He seems to get into that pocket and just kind of cruise, right? Like, and just stay there. It's and I mean, even Alonso, like the Alpine, that's a pretty good car, man. And he's doing well too. He could have been closer to the podium, I think, last time without. I think he touched the wall, or someone touched him. He had the sidewall damage, right, to his car. He had to retire last time. So man, that's another. It's funny how you don't talk about them that much. I go back and forth when I watch the race between the international and the F1 feed. The international seems, I mean, it's Sky Sports guys, so I find it's a little bit more English driver driven. So the F1 guys go a little bit more into everyone else, and they have been talking about Fernando a lot. So I did with in the other pool I'm in, Dusty. I have those guys.
How many pools are you in, buddy?
I'm only in 2, but
okay.
the other.
So it's not like me in fantasy football yet. You don't have like 21 F1 pools on the go or anything.
We'll wait till next year and see what happens.
Is there anything on the board we didn't get to, buddy? I think I saw an Albon in there. What do you got? Is it?
Well, just Alex Albon with another point.
Yeah.
You know, like for Williams, it's crazy to think that you got him just battling with that car, and then Latifi just can't get anything done with this thing. I think Dad's going to take the keys to the car here pretty soon.
It's not going to be much longer.
I don't think it's going to last too much longer. But yeah, and then another thing I had on there was Ricardo. It was looking good for a while there.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was looking really good. It's just, and they were talking about how just if you've watched the Drive to Survive series and saw him with Red Bull, where he was, if memory serves me correctly, he did quite well at Red Bull. It seemed like, and him leaving was actually kind of a shock to me.
Yeah, and kind of a big loss for them.
Yeah, and then Nuts, goes to Renault, and things don't work out well there. And now with McLaren, and you've seen the bits and pieces of things that he does. And one of the passes that they showed today was just masterful. But man, it seems like he just can't get it all together. I mean, I like that McLaren team. I like Norris, probably the best helmet I've ever seen in my life. That basketball helmet that he had was awesome. That was unreal. And then he even chirped, I think he chirped Mercedes, saying maybe they should wear this because they're bouncing so much on straightaways. So it was pretty good. But good, yeah, I mean, Ricardo, like they're even talking about the young American driver probably taking his seat next year already. So, and I don't know how few more weeks until we start getting into seats and who's coming and going and stuff like that. So that'll be really interesting.
Well, I just brought up Ricardo's like year-end finishes, and he spent 4 years with Red Bull. In 2014, he won 3 races, finished 3rd. In 2015, he finished 8th. In 2016, he finished 3rd again. And then his last year at Red Bull, he finished 5th. And so then and then he was actually with Red Bull one more year, and he finished 6th. And then he went to Renault, and it was 9th and 5th. And then last year, it was 8th, and right now I think he's in 11th. So there's some success there along the way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just a horrible day for McLaren in general today. Like Lando doesn't finish, and Ricardo, who moved up like 3 spots on the first lap or 2 laps, and then all of a sudden let it slip away. Okay, Gager, let's wrap up with this. When next year, we're like previewing the Miami Grand Prix. What will we remember from this race? What will be the one thing that you remember from this race this year?
The first is the amount of crashes, I think, in qualifying, and thinking that this was going to be a bloodbath. But the next is just Max Verstappen just blowing past Ferraris and just commanding the race. And even like it got my heart pumping when Charles was pushing a little bit and got into DRS there, but still on that long straightaway, still with DRS, he couldn't make a move. And that probably just the masterful driving of Max was what I take away from this race. He was phenomenal.
Yeah, I know. Honorable mention to Martin Brundle, what he did pre-race. I mean, I'll be very excited for his walk next year. That's for sure. Let's just quickly wrap up with this. We didn't dive into it too much. We totally should have. But you get the flag. It comes back together. Leclerc pushes him for 3 or 4 laps. And then, I mean, Gager, as soon as he got out of that DRS zone, it was like 1.7 seconds behind, 2.2 seconds behind, 3 seconds behind. And there were some other good battles behind them for sure. But that flag, Lando's accident, I mean, it gave us some drama that we were kind of hoping for at the end of that race, right?
Yeah. I mean, I never thought, Dusty, that I would be hoping for a safety car in a race. Like it just didn't seem like I don't work that way. Like even last year when Latifi went into the wall, I was like, no, what are you doing? Like, but now to see, and I don't want anyone to get hurt, obviously, but to bring the pack back together and the changing of the tires and the whole, how many places am I going to lose? That's where the pit stops come in, and they're so important at that point. But man, I guess it's fortunate we didn't have a lot of safety cars, but it was nice to have one at the end and put them all back up together, because it did create a little bit more drama. And well, I mean, we saw Mercedes move right up there too. So.
Yeah, great call by Crofty down the stretch with everything that was going on. Yeah. I'm just looking at my text messages from when you're like, I don't want to be that guy who's pumped. Literally, the text is safety car, 3 exclamation points followed by love it. Which is perfect.
I was knee deep in it then.
Yeah, that was too good. All right, so now we got to wait a couple weeks. Obviously, we'll see what news happens throughout the week, and we might give you another episode next week. And then we get back to backs, right? It's back to backs at the end of May, so that's going to be very exciting as well. If you have been watching on YouTube, it's archived over there, so I know a few people check it out over there. Make sure you do subscribe to the podcast as well. Late night again, these hockey games, these late night games, man. I'm okay with the odd 8 o'clock start during the regular season. I would rather have an 8 o'clock start than these playoff matinee games. That just doesn't feel right to me. That's strange to me.
Yeah, no matinee. This is going to kill me if how long this goes. But hot lemon and cayenne, buddy.
Yeah, that's what I have to do. I know I need to stop talking. Where'd you come out on the 1:30 start for Formula One?
1:30.
Oh, 11:30 start. What? Yeah, 1:30 start. Yeah, 1:30 start. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I think it was my least favorite. I like the mornings. Give me the late night, but I like starting my Sunday with a 7 or 8 o'clock race, man.
It's the absolute best.
Yeah.
Coffee, just relaxed, get all cozy on the couch, and I mean, you probably have people up at that point, but no one's getting up in my house on Sunday that early. So it's everything to myself, earbuds, 3 screens. It's the best.
Yeah, mid-afternoon race. I loved it, but it's at the bottom of my love, I guess I would say. Yeah. All right, there you go. That's episode 6 of the Pitstop Pals. He's Gager. I am Nielsen. That's a recap of the Miami Grand Prix. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back with episode 7, getting you ready for the next races. Of course, the season continues, and there is a long way to go, and we've already had a lot to talk about. We'll talk to you next time. See you later, Gager.
Later, bye.